This is One Fat Boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for February 10th of 2022. Tonight there is 7 games. I'll be going over the spreads and over-unders for each of these games. For the Grizzlies at the Pistons, I'll go with Memphis minus 10. So outright, they should win this game, not a problem, as they've been handling all their opponents without a problem, except the 76ers, which they lost in overtime to. But Pistons are, of course, much worse than them, as they're a bottom-of-the-barrel team, so Memphis should win. They should cover the spread, no problem, just through better offense, better defense, and just overall just better hustle. Just if there's like a stat or like any metric that you can measure the Grizzlies to the Pistons, like the Grizzlies beat Detroit in like each one of those. I will be going over 219.5 as Memphis shouldn't have a struggle putting the ball in the basket, and Memphis games tend to be a little high scoring too. So hence I'm going over 219.5. Expect Ja Morant to have a pretty good game, like about where his averages are for the season. Maybe like a little bit more, as no one on the Pistons should be able to slow him down. For the Heat at the Pelicans, I'll go with Miami minus 4.5. So between Miami's defense and then just how they execute on both ends of the floor, I think the Pelicans will have a tough time trying to beat the Heat. I do expect this game not to be like a blowout, but I do expect the Heat to lead the majority of the time. So they will be leaning towards Miami just winning in general, and then 4.5, like that's reasonable. Like I don't expect like Miami to win by like 15, like maybe a little more like towards 8 points, but by like 5 is a reasonable amount. I will be going under 219.5 as Miami's defense is good. It is good enough to slow down New Orleans. Like they have answers to slow down Ingram. Maybe not so much Valanciunas, but there's enough schemes to slow him down that it shouldn't be a problem overall. Then Miami is not a very high-scoring team in itself, so hence why I'm leaning towards the under 219.5. For Brooklyn at Washington, so personally, I wouldn't touch the spread on this game, but I think if there's a game that Brooklyn's going to win, I'm going to lean towards this one, but both these teams have kind of fallen apart as of late. Both are struggling. Maybe the Wizards not much as the Nets, but Nets need to turn it around one way or another. I think Washington is a perfect team to turn around against, but personally, I wouldn't bet on the spread, but I will lean towards a higher scoring game, as let's say if the Wizards go on a run, it's like they can get hot. And then if they go on a run, it's like then that's just kind of fall apart on themselves. So that means their scoring goes down, but that means their defense always goes down, so that allows Washington to score more. But if it is a close game, that's because the Nets are making their baskets. That's mean they're going to be a little more involved in the game. So I'm going to lean towards like a closer game. That's a high scoring one. That's what I'm going to predict for over 22.5, and then just maybe just lean towards like a Brooklyn win, or at least close. For Toronto at the Rockets, I lean towards Toronto minus 6.5. I think overall just team basketball is going to win this one, and that's what Toronto wins, and that's generally what I'm going to lean towards too, like the teams that you see just like play as a team, which it's a team sport. They're generally going to have a better chance of winning. Like you don't see Toronto game blown out. You see them like winning the closer games, or maybe just winning by like those 10 to 12 point games against those like bottom of the tier teams like the Rockets. So hence why I'm going to Toronto. It's like got Fred VanVleet, Siakam, OG. It's a good squad, and especially compared to what Houston has right now between like Wood and Porter Jr. I mean, they're young, but Toronto, I think, just more well coached. You got Nick Nurse, who's going to outcoach Houston if it does turn out to a close game. But I think Toronto should handle this in the first half and just keep that lead in the second half. We'll be going over 221.5 as Houston games are more high scoring, and Toronto will be able to keep up with the scoring that Houston can put up. And then Toronto can also hold the Houston down too, and then Houston's defense is not that great, so Toronto will get their points no problem. So over 221.5, Toronto winning, and probably by 6.5. For the Clippers at the Mavericks, I'll be going with Dallas minus 6. as Dallas has been on a tear as of late. I mean, with how their defense plays and how also their offense has been playing. It's like as long as Doncic and Reggie Bullock are making their shots, it's going to be hard to beat the Mavericks on any given night, no matter who they're playing. And the Clippers, I mean, they hang tough, but it's like they don't got that star power right now because it's all on the bench right now because they're injured. So I just have to lean towards the Mavericks just due to star power and just how they've been playing as of late. So Dallas -6. I'll be going under 217.5 as both teams can clamp down on defense, and especially the Mavericks, who have one of the top-rated defenses in the league. So I'll be going to under 217.5 just because if either of these teams win, it's just because they played better defense on each other. For the Bucks at the Suns, I'll have to go with the Suns, as I'm sure they want to have a revenge win over the finals last year and beat the Bucks, but also Bucks want to solidify as saying that they were the reason why they won the finals last year. So I expect a very good game overall, and I expect this to be a very fun game to watch, but I will lean towards Phoenix winning, and Phoenix by -3.5 too, as now they have all the big men, so now they have more fouls that they can commit on Giannis, force him to make his free throws, and just like kind of build a wall in the paint. I'm sure that's what they're going to be testing out, the Suns. I know currently the spread on FanDuel is 232.5, and personally, I think that's a little high, as both teams can play some serious defense when need be. I think it's going to be one of those games, like it's not going to be a shootout, or maybe this might be one of those games where they save their defensive strats for some reason, just like try and outscore each other. But I think it's easier to win games if you don't have to score as many points, if you can just hold down the other team, really make them work for their shots. And so they're even more spent on the defensemen, so you have easier shots. But that's just me. But I'll be going under 232.5 if I were to bet on this, and with a Phoenix win. For the Knicks at Golden State. So Golden State played last night, but they didn't play that well. And do I expect them to play bad 2 games in a row? Not really, but do I expect them to blow out the Knicks? I think the Knicks will keep it close. I think the Knicks defense, if they can play anything like Utah did last night and just hold Golden State to like a lower amount of points, because the Knicks, obviously it's the Knicks, they're not going to score a lot of points. They should be able to keep it close and maybe not win, but at least like keep it close, like within 10. And hence why I'm going under 214.5, as both these teams are for sure not known for scoring this season. Even the Warriors years past known for their scoring, not so much this season. So we'll just be going with the Knicks plus 9.5, and then under 214.5, just because the way there's 2 teams play defense and just how they've been playing offense as of late. Good on defense, not so great on the offense. Thank you for watching, and leave any of your comments about the games or any predictions that you think will happen to let other people know your thoughts on the games. And once again, thanks for watching.